There is a yellow powder sitting in your spice cabinet right now that could completely transform your vegetable garden. That powder is turmeric. And look, what it does for plants is one of the most surprising things I have come across in years of gardening. Turmeric is, one of the most effective natural fungicides you are ever going to find outside of a chemical supply store. The active compound in it, curcumin, stops fungal growth from taking hold on your plants. We are talking powdery mildew on squash and cucumbers, damping off in seedlings, and root rot from overwatering or a rainy stretch that just went on too long. These are some of the most common problems in any vegetable garden, and most gardeners reach straight for a chemical spray the moment they show up. Here is the thing, turmeric handles all three of those without messing up the microbial balance your soil depends on. And that is a trade-off nobody really talks about with chemical fungicides. They work, sure, but they kill everything, the good stuff right along with the bad. Turmeric lets you protect your plants while keeping the soil biology intact. That matters especially when you are starting seedlings or doing transplants. Those are the moments when plants are most at risk. And having something natural in place from day one really does make a difference. And fungal protection is really just the beginning. The part that actually got me is what turmeric does to pests that are not even visible to the naked eye. If you have ever had plants that just seem to fail for no obvious reason, roots damaged, growth stunted, no visible pest anywhere on the surface, there is a good chance microscopic nematodes or other soil-dwelling insects were the cause. These things live underground. They feed directly on root tissue, and by the time the damage shows up above ground, they have already done their worst. Turmeric, in both its powdered and liquid forms, is actually toxic to those pests. It does not just deter them the way some repellents do, it kills them. And while it is doing that, it is also helping to keep the healthy microbial balance in the soil that all the beneficial organisms depend on. So you get a cleaner root zone and a more resilient soil at the same time. Mix it in at planting time or apply it as a regular soil drench, and you are basically setting up a protected environment from the ground up before any damage can even start. Now here's the part that actually changed how I think about garden protection, and it has nothing to do with what is already attacking your plants. It is really more about preventing what has not hit yet. Turmeric has a strong, persistent smell that most insects just want nothing to do with. Aphids, whiteflies and ants all avoid plants that have been treated with it, whether you put the powder at the base or spray it directly on the leaves. But the repelling effect is, actually the smaller part of what is going on here. Turmeric can trigger something in the plant called systemic acquired resistance. Think of it like flipping a switch inside the plant that puts its own immune system on high alert. Once that switch is on, the plant gets way better at fighting off disease and pest pressure as the season moves along. That is not just about keeping today's aphids off a leaf. That is about building a tomato plant or a cucumber vine that is still going strong in late summer when every untreated plant around it is struggling. And because turmeric is completely safe for bees and other pollinators, you can spray it freely without worrying about chasing off the very insects your garden depends on. If your protection strategy also drives away the bees, you have just traded one problem for another. With turmeric, that is never an issue. There is one more thing before we get into recipes, and this is probably the one that most gardeners would never think to connect with turmeric at all. Every time you prune a branch, pinch off a sucker, or move a plant from one container to another, you are creating open wounds in plant tissue. Those wounds are, direct entry points for bacteria and fungal infection. And most gardeners just leave them exposed and kind of hope for the best. Turmeric changes that. A small pinch of the dry powder pressed right onto a cut stem seals it up and acts as a natural antimicrobial barrier. Kind of like putting something on a cut before you cover it. For transplants, mixing roughly 1 teaspoon into a gallon of soil before planting helps protect any roots that got damaged during the move. I started doing this with every transplant about a season ago, and the difference in how quickly new plants establish themselves has been really clear, and less wilting, faster uptake, stronger early growth. And the fact that this is literally a spice from your kitchen cabinet, not something you have to order or hunt down at a specialty store, makes it pretty hard to argue with. It takes maybe 30 seconds to apply. All right, so now that you know what turmeric actually does, let me walk you through exactly how to use it. And we are starting with the foliar spray. The foliar spray is what you want for disease prevention, insect repelling, and keeping your leaves healthy above the soil line. Take 1 tablespoon of ground turmeric powder and mix it with 1 cup of whole milk. And look, it does not need to be anything special. Just everyday whole milk from the grocery store works perfectly. Whole milk is actually a mild fertilizer on its own and has natural antifungal properties, which makes it a great carrier for the turmeric. Then you add 1 teaspoon of liquid castile soap. Castile soap is made entirely from plant-based oils, no synthetic detergents, no chemicals, so it is totally safe to use around vegetables and pollinators. The soap basically helps the formula spread evenly across the leaf surface and stick to the plant instead of just running straight off. Once those 3 are combined, pour the whole mix into 4 cups of slightly warm water. Not hot, just warm enough that everything blends together properly. Shake it well, get it into a sprayer and apply every 7 to 10 days throughout the growing season. Spray from above and from below each leaf, so both surfaces get covered. And always do this in the morning before the sun gets strong. Wet leaves under direct sun can develop burn spots, and you want the formula to dry before the heat of the day kicks in. The soil drench uses basically the same ingredients, but what it targets and how you apply it makes it a completely different tool. For the soil drench, you start with the same base: 1 tablespoon of turmeric powder, 1 cup of whole milk, 1 teaspoon of castile soap. The difference is that this time you mix everything into a full gallon of lukewarm water. Just stick your finger about 1 inch into the soil before you pour anything, and if it feels slightly damp, you are good to go. Once it is mixed, apply roughly half a cup to 1 cup around the base of each plant in about a 6 to 8 inch radius, so the whole root ball gets covered. The soil should have a little moisture in it when you apply, not bone dry and not completely soaked. Just stick your finger about 1 inch into the soil before you pour anything, and if it feels slightly damp, you are good to go. Apply every 7 to 14 days during the growing season, depending on how much time you have got. If you are growing in heavy clay soil, pull back to once every 2 weeks at most. Clay holds things for a really long time, and going too often can actually tip the microbial balance the wrong way, which is, the exact opposite of what you want. For raised beds and containers, which is mostly where I grow, you have way more flexibility and can push closer to every 7 days. The mixture stays good for about 3 to 4 days in a sealed container, so mix what you plan to use and keep the rest somewhere cool. Drop a comment below and let me know what you are going to try this on first. And if you want to see more experiments like this, hit subscribe so you do not miss what I test next.